Hey, hey, travel brats.
Happy Travel Brat Tuesday.
It's Soph
And Nat.
coming to you from the studio. And today, guys, we are going to have some fun. We want to let our hair down and we want to play a little game with you guys just to take a break from our awesome itineraries and our awesome interviews with all kinds of cool folks. We are going to play some Travel Brat Would You Rathers. It's a new series. We've been thinking about it for a long time and they're just so much fun. So, Natalie and I have taken the liberty of having AI come up with some really difficult yet fun questions for us to kind of process through with you guys on Would You Rather. So we're just going to dive right in. Nat, you want to go first?
Yeah, speaking of diving, Sophia, would you rather skydive over the Swiss Alps or bungee jump off the Blue Kranz Bridge in South Africa?
Okay. I am an adrenaline junkie, but I think both sound fun. But I think I would rather skydive because there's more thrill. You can most of the time skydive with an expert attached to you, and two parachutes, not one. And bungee jumping just my last thing would be I like the Swiss Alps way more than I would want to go on the Bulkrans Bridge in South Africa. So the location also has to play in a little bit. But yeah, there's also a lot of just like irrational fear I have around bungee jumping. And I'm not really sure how to explain it because there's really not that many accidents, but I just would not like to have that rope break or go like plummeting to my death in the water. I'd rather just hit the ground and die if I had to die, skydive versus bungee jumping.
Yeah, my answer is honestly neither. I am not an adrenaline junkie like my sweet friend Sophia, but I think if I had to choose, I would say skydiving. Not necessarily because I'm scared that the bungee would break, but skydiving just seems like it might last longer. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And like it just feels like a more like epic kind of thing to experience. And yes, I would be with a professional strapped to my
right,
back. So
right.
and
And
you're just falling out of the sky and then you get to like then there's a parachute and you get to go down smooth and it just feels like it would really just be like your brain wouldn't even be able to process how awesome it is. So that's why I would probably choose that one.
yeah, plus Tim McGraw sings about it. Come on now. I went skydiving. And okay, here's the thing. That's a great point, Natalie, that you talked about like what do you get more out of? Because if you actually look it up, most like average skydiving costs are between $200 and $300, which I thought it would be way more expensive. And
Mhm.
then bungee jumping is really expensive. It's like between 100 and 150, which is like you get way more thrill, you get way more, and it's a little longer skydiving versus bungee jumping, and you're paying about half. So,
Yeah.
I would totally rather do it. And just for some fun information for you guys to just scare the living daylights out of you, and have you have that same irrational fear that I do of bungee jumping. The exact number of bungee jumping deaths, it's difficult to pinpoint, but reports suggest that around 18 deaths occur between 1986 and 2002. So again, very few, but the fun thing is the actual stories. So I'll just tell you one quick story. In a terrifying incident in 2012, a girl named Erin Langsworthy, an Australian tourist, she plunged into a crocodile-infested water after her bungee cord snapped during a jump from the Victoria Falls Bridge over the Zambezi River. So she like lived to tell this story, which I don't know how on earth she lived. That is
Well,
divine intervention. But like she told the story and she's like, "Oh yeah, like there were all those crocodiles in the water and like I like just like smacked into it and I didn't even know what was going on. Like it's crazy." So look her up. It's a pretty crazy story. And so, kind of to contrast, we talked about the bungee jumping deaths. In 2003, the United States Parachute Association reported 10 skydiving fatalities out of approximately like 3.65 million jumps. So, again, very few skydiving fatalities as well. So, both are pretty safe, you guys. You have to be that one really unlucky person. But hey, you still may live through it, like our friend Aaron over here. And anyway, so so some people I think like Natalie, you may not want to do it at all, and I totally respect that. But if I had to do one, definitely I would totally skydive because I
Yeah.
just if you're one of those adrenaline people, just do it at least once. I wouldn't like do it all the time, but I think it'd be fun to try at least once. Um,
Well,
yeah.
and let's talk about the area that you suggested. I mean, or that AI suggested, the
Yeah.
Swiss Alps. I mean, how incredible would that be? How kind of thrilling and kind of terrifying to be, in the Alps. It's like, where do you land if you
And
are
then can
being in the Alps?
Right, and can you just think about the views you have? I mean, you're in a helicopter. A lot of the cool tours around the Alps and big mountains like that or mountain ranges are like plane and helicopter tours. So you already get to go up in a plane and you get to see an aerial view of the Alps, which would be like on my bucket list. And then like to dive through them. Okay. Yeah, I'm in. I'm so in. If I die, whatever. I had a good run. I'm so in. Natalie, carry on travel brats. If I die, carry on. So anyway, yes, guys, super fun. Make your own decisions based on what we've given you. We will jump into question two now. Would you rather go whitewater rafting in Costa Rica or sandboarding in the Sahara Desert, Natalie?
Oh, for me, sandboarding without a doubt. Whitewater rafting is a blast, but I've gotten to do it a few times. And again, awesome. Totally a cool experience. But visiting Africa is certainly top of my list. And to do something as unique as getting to sandboard in Africa's largest desert, I just think it sounds so cool.
Actually, you're so right. And I think the reason I picked whitewater rafting, a couple things. I do want to go to Sahara and I do want to like see it and boarding through it sounds okay. If I could ski through it, it would probably be my first pick. But it said boarding, AI specifically said boarding, and I would probably die on a snowboard. So I will not do that. And then whitewater rafting, unlike you, I have never been. And it's like been such a bucket list thing for me. Now, for those of you that are wondering about the safety issues for both of them. Whitewater rafting can be dangerous, but there are a lot of tips. I know a personal story, not for me, but my aunt almost died when she was a kid, like 12, whitewater rafting with her dad. She fell out of the raft. And so, yeah, and it was really high rapids. So let me just teach you guys a little bit on some of the specifics you need to know when you're whitewater rafting. Okay, so what you want to do is this may seem like a duh thing, but you always want to have a good guide. Um, oh, so, first, before you guys even hit the water, just choose the right outfitter. There are some that may be cheaper, but they may not be as safe. They may not have as good guides. So, look at reviews, look at the ratings. You want to go with a reputable company. And then also, you need to know what class rapids you're going to be in. If it's a first time for you, you probably don't want to go class five, which is extremely dangerous rapids. If you become addicted to it and you become really good at it, and you have a really good team, I would go class five. But first, I would just try class one. Easy, fun. You still get the experience. Choose the level appropriate, guys. Especially like take into account your own fitness and what you've done before, even athletically, not just whitewater rafting.
Mm.
And then you're going to need to wear the right gear. They will outfit you guys. So that's something you don't really need to worry about. But, helmet, life jacket, footwear, wet or dry suit, just so you know what you're getting into. You're going to have to change and put all the garb on. And then again, you have this good guide. We've talked about a good guide. Listen to your guide. Pay attention, close attention to everything they say. And they're going to tell you what their commands are and what you have to do. And so, if something happens when you're in the boat in any situation, you are listening to them and you remember what their signals are and all that jazz. And then again, learn the proper paddle techniques. Pay attention to
Mm.
them when they tell you. You need to know how to paddle forward, backward, how to respond to high siding commands from the guide. And then keep your feet up if you fall in, guys. So when this happened to my aunt, you never want to have your feet the wrong direction because it's really easy to get your head hit. So you want to keep floating on your back with your feet pointed downstream and your head up. It keeps your feet from getting stuck in the rocks. And again, if you go overboard, guys, yeah, that sucks. don't panic. Like that's the last thing you want to do. Yeah, you may die, but don't panic. Stay calm, look for the raft or your guide. Again, float on your back, and then they'll probably throw you the rope or direct you to a calm area. And they have again, they have protocol and they have people if this happens that are going to come get you. So don't think you're going to be left behind and down for the count and marked as dead. Now, yeah. And again, guys, look up a T grip. We talked about holding the paddle. Just look up a T grip because that is how you're supposed to be holding your paddle. And again, last couple things, know the river conditions, water levels, temperature, the weather forecast. Okay. Don't go on a super, if you're doing this alone and you've become used to it and you're doing it alone without a guide, look at the weather forecast. High water levels equals more dangerous rapids. And
Mm,
again, really basic stuff, guys, but people, including me, forget it all the time. Stay hydrated and fueled. Water, good, lots of energy before you eat, before you get in the raft. And then, guys, if you're on vacation, yeah, I don't care. Don't drink before doing anything physically dangerous like this. You can have your drinks after. And then always, guys, buddy system. Always raft with others. Don't go alone unless you're like an Olympic champion.
yeah.
Yeah, and make sure somebody knows your route. If you guys are doing it on your own, if you're doing it on your own, like if Natalie and I went out and we were experts on our own, still make sure somebody knows your route because if something happens, people are going to need to come looking for you. So yeah, so those are the basic, just guidelines for any sort of whitewater rafting. Now, if you're one of those people that would rather be boarding in the Sahara Desert, there are safety tips for you as well. Now, you guys know that Northern Africa is beautiful, can be really fun, has all these cool things to do for tourists, but there are just a lot of dangerous places as well as safe places there. So, you're looking at Morocco, which is well developed. It's great for tourism. It's got Marrakesh, it's got Fez and the Atlas Mountains, beautiful. And then a lot of Sahara excursions are in Morocco. And so that is a really safe, popular, great place to go. And then you have places like Egypt, Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan. They're fairly safe and they have a strong tourist infrastructure. But some border areas may be off limits. So this is just not a place you want to go. A lot of like solo exploring, you need to look up the places that are safe and not safe there. Tunisia, capital and tourist hubs are fairly safe as well. Through the south near the Libyan border can actually be very risky. So again, just knowing the places and countries you can and cannot go. And here's some more countries that are kind of I would just avoid them if you can. Libya, it's got an ongoing conflict and lack of government control, makes it very unsafe.
Mm,
Algeria, some regions are safe, but others, especially in the desert or near the borders, they're high risk. They've got terrorism, and that's where they have a lot of kidnappings. So, guys, stay clear. You can go to the Sahara Desert, other places. And then lastly, you've got Mali, Niger, Chad, and Sudan. Parts of the Sahara, these are all have parts of the Sahara in them, but they are extremely dangerous and they have a lot of terrorism, a lot of lawlessness, and a lot of armed conflict. So you do not want to be a tourism caught in the middle of that drama. So guys, again, you can do the Sahara. Just be safe, do your research, get a good guide. Yeah, and then the climate of the Sahara. You guys need to just pay attention to that as well. You've got extreme heat. Temperatures can hit 120 Fahrenheit, that's 49 Celsius in the summer. Dehydration is a huge problem. People get a lot of heat strokes, and then getting lost. Don't don't wander alone in the desert because it's
mhm.
huge and it's totally empty and it's easy to die. No water, you get lost. And then lack of resources. It's got, like we said, limited water, but fuel as well. If you're driving a car alone in there, make sure you know where you're going because you don't want to run out of gas and then be stuck. And then also, doctors aren't nearby. So if something happens, you don't have a lot of medical help, like you break your leg, etc. Sandstorms are frequent, they're sudden and powerful, and these can totally disorient you, cause respiratory issues, etc. Wildlife and insects, guys. We're in the desert and there's a lot of scorpions, snakes, and those can be a problem. Just be careful. Don't go play with the bugs and go pick up a snake like all those people you see on TikTok. Don't try to be the crocodile hunter. And then obviously, if you guys have vehicle issues and your transport breaks down, you could be stranded. So we talked a little bit about that. So just be safe, you guys. if you want to go to the desert and really do some hardcore exploring, just make sure you get a reputable guide or tour operator. Just check the country's travel advisories. You can find those on like US State Department or UK Foreign Office. Avoid border regions, like we said. Stay hydrated. Again, dress for protection, guys. Don't wear the teeny little tank tops and not put any sunscreen on. Just be smart. Wear good shoes. Wear high socks. Let someone know your itinerary, like we did with the whitewater rafting. Still, if you're going to the desert, let someone know exactly where you're going. And then just respect the local customs and laws. We are in a very far away country with very different religion, with very different customs. And so just make sure you are conservative and respectful about those, dress appropriately, act appropriately, and just look some of those things up before you head over there. So, anyway, guys, that is just, there's a lot to know on both ends, but just prepare accordingly for those fun activities and those really cool places.
Yeah. So I really appreciate all of your tips and tricks. Here we are answering these fun questions, but really, I think, guys, it's so important to know what you're getting into when you travel and what kind of things to prepare for, because this is totally my way of thinking. The more you prepare and the more you know what you're going into, then when you get there, you can just enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Exactly.
like have fun and live within this world that you've created, the boundaries that you've set for yourself on what your trip is going to be. And that goes for safety, which is a lot of what we're talking about, but it also goes for budgeting. It also goes for food. It also goes, all of these things. But especially since today's topic is adventure and, things that could be more dangerous, I think safety is huge in this way.
Yeah, it's so true, Natalie. I think that I don't know about you, but I hate being on a trip where I have to figure out all these things. I love to have them planned before, and then if you just stick to the plan, then you aren't surprised by anything. And then when you get home, you're also not like looking at your bank statement being like, "Oh my gosh, I was not supposed to spend that much in New Zealand." Shh, no, everybody knows now. You're not like, "Ah, help me. What did I do? Don't tell my husband." Anyway,
Mm.
so Natalie, what we got next, girl?
Okay, question number 3. Would you rather hike to Machu Picchu or trek the Inca Trail to Rainbow Mountain?
Oh my gosh. So this is such a cool question because when AI told me about the Rainbow Mountain, I was like, what is the Rainbow Mountain? So the Rainbow Mountain is really cool. Even though my answer was Machu Picchu, we're going to talk all about the Rainbow Mountain. But for my answer, real quick, I would pick Machu Picchu because no, I have not done it yet. And again, I would love to do it. I would love to just bask in the glory of every step of the way. But I would also love to then go back or on the same trip after Machu Picchu and maybe like a day or two of rest, then go hike Rainbow Mountain for sure.
I love that. Have your cake and eat it too, my dear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think both sound amazing, but Machu Picchu has always been top of the list for me, so that's like my immediate is Machu Picchu. But you know, why not? Why not all of it? That's your
Yeah.
answer, so I'll make it mine too.
I want it all. Now, here's the fun part about the Inca Trail. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the Inca Trail, and I'll let Natalie tell you guys about the awesome Rainbow Mountain. So, the Inca Trail is a famous hiking route in Peru, and it leads to the ancient Incan city of Machu Picchu, winding through the Andean mountains, cloud forests, and Incan ruins. So, it's considered one of the most iconic treks in the world. And key facts for it would be your the location of where at least you are and start is Cusco region. And the location of it is Cusco region, Peru. The length is about 26 miles, 42 kilometers. The duration is 4 days, 3 nights, standard trek, obviously, average. And then your altitude is high, guys. So I would do some hiking in altitude to prep for this. I'm like Rocky Mountains is what I'm talking about. Like starting at 8,900 feet, guys. So for those of you who do meters, 2,700 meters. Highest point is called Dead Woman's Pass. Cute name. 13,800 feet. So to put it into perspective, you guys, if you are like a big hiker, or if you know of big hikers, the people that just love like doing those 14er treks in Colorado, that means 14,000 feet. So those are like the big kahunas. So this is very close to 14,000 feet. So just prep accordingly. Difficulty, moderate to challenging, altitude, steep terrain. But I've seen travel influencers do it, and it's more of like a steady incline. It does reach a high altitude, but you have like again, if it's 2 to 3 day trek, max 4, then you are kind of slowly inclining. So that's good to know. Where a lot of people are like, it's just like boom, straight up. No, no, it's a while and it's a steady incline. So that's good because with altitude sickness, it happens if you go into altitude too quickly. So this is like a nice where your body can kind of get used to it over a couple days. Now permits, a lot of people don't realize that you need permits. Only 500 people per day, including guides and porters, are allowed to hike the Inca Trail. You got to book at least 4 to 6 months in advance, especially for May and September, because those are busy months to hike it. Good weather, duh. Most book through a licensed tour operator. So again, if you're trying to make it easy, you can just do it that way. What to bring? Your passport, which a lot of people don't realize you need to bring your passport on the trail because you need it at checkpoints and for entry into actual Machu Picchu. Now,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
That's
I would be one of those
excellent.
people that
Yeah.
would totally forget that. And then sturdy hiking boots, break them in, guys. They'll give you bad blisters if you don't break them in, especially if you're not a hiker. Layer your clothing because again, weather can shift. Again, bring a raincoat and then it can get cold, hot really quickly. So just bring those layers so that you can tear them off and throw them in your hiking backpack and put them back on. We talked about rain gear, raincoat, sunscreen, insect repellent, headlamp, flashlight, because again, you will be hiking in the evening and the early morning. Reusable water bottles, hydration packs, guys, those are great. You can never have too many of them. I mean, personally, I love the hiking backpacks that have them built in. So while you're hiking, you can just keep that thing right by your mouth and just drink whenever you want. You don't want to get dehydrated. And then for accommodations, you'll be camping on the trail. Porters can carry tents and cooking supplies. So some carry duffel bags for you too. Depends on the group and the guide you have. Meals are cooked by Trek staff. Food is usually excellent, which is really cool because I wouldn't have first thought of that. And then for health and safety tips, you guys, altitude sickness is real. We talked about it a little bit. So just acclimate in Cusco for at least 2 to 3 days before hiking the trail. That's easy. There's other fun stuff to do in Cusco. Just don't be stupid, you guys. I have been stupid, and I've taken my husband on a really difficult trek before we've acclimated, and he got altitude sickness. So don't do it. Don't think you're invincible. It's not going to work. Stay hydrated. Take it slow. You have all the time you want to hike it, so you don't have to be Superman. Bring meds like Dymox if needed. And then most treks have a first aid trained guide and an emergency plan. So if you're on a guided trek, that's probably the best way to go if you're not, an avid hiker. And now the best time to go is dry season. So we talked about May to September. Again, best weather, most popular. Then you have a rainy season, which is November to March there. And the trail is closed, totally closed in February for maintenance. And then shoulder months like April and October can also be a nice balance. You just have to look up the weather on your phone. And then some really cool highlights if you're wondering, well, what am I going to see? Because I've just heard it's this and it's that. You and I'm going to butcher these names, but bear with me. The La or Yakatapa ruins, the Rakurake circular ruins, the Sayamakara, and Fuyu Patamerika. Nelly, stop laughing at me in your head. Cloud Forest ruins. So, guys, circular ruins, cloud forest ruins, spectacular Incan terraces. Wina is what they're called. The Sun Gate. I am making it through. The Sun Gate, Inti Punku, first view of Machu Picchu. That's where you get the first view of Machu Picchu, Sun Gate. And then there also are really cool alternative treks. So and these have no permits needed. So again, if you want to do extra, or if you're like, I don't know if I can fully do the Inca Trail, but I want to like see the area around there, you've got the Sal Conte trek, which is more rugged and a higher altitude. So maybe don't do that one. But like you've got Laris Trek, more cultural. And then you have the Inca Jungle Trek, which is biking, rafting, and a hiking combo, which sounds really fun to me. So again, guys, so much to do around the Inca Trail for everybody. So just take it slow. And again, like we talked about in our first question, prepare well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of those apply to when you're also visiting Rainbow Mountain. And so Rainbow Mountain, I mean, it really sounds so cool, and it's kind of it seems like kind of a hidden gem. It's not a hidden gem, obviously, people know it well, but compared to the famous Machu Picchu, it seems like a little bit more of a special kind of hidden thing. But Rainbow Mountain, it's also known as Vinicunca or Montaña de Siete Colores, which basically just means the mountain of seven colors, obviously Rainbow Mountain. There you go. So it's a natural formation in the Andes of Peru near Cusco. If you know Emperor's New Groove, Cusco.
Wrong.
I always, anytime I see Cusco, I think of Emperor's New Groove.
You can't not.
Can't not. I mean, hello. So this area is known for obviously the vibrant and multicolored stripes of the rock and the sediment, and it resembles a rainbow, hence the name. What I think is really cool is that the colors are obviously all natural and they're based on different minerals. So the red comes from iron oxide, the yellow comes from iron sulfide, green comes from chlorite, and then the brownish purple comes from oxidized limonite, however you want to say that, or goethite. And it's very tall. This is 17,060 feet above sea level. So,
Woo!
same way that Sophia was saying, prep for elevation, you got to prep for elevation with something like this. And it's special because I mean, as I said, it's not really as widely known as some of these other places. And the reason for that is because it was covered in snow. Most of the time it's covered in snow, but as glaciers have receded, the colors have become more visible, and now it's a hiking destination. So it's obviously depending on how you think of glaciers receding, now we have this beautiful place that people are traveling to that was essentially, I don't want to say undiscovered, but people really didn't know that much about it. So when you are doing this hike, they suggest to go early in the morning to get clearer weather and fewer crowds. And yeah, so why not do it all? Do Machu Picchu, do the Rainbow Mountain, heck, all
Yeah.
of it.
Totally. So, and the nice thing about both of those is they're so close together. And again, there's a bunch of other hikes, you guys, around the Rainbow Mountain. Like you can again hike just same thing as Inca Trail, and it has those other trails. You can trek through the or to the Augustangate. Oh my gosh, Asangate trek. Excuse me, everyone. Yep, that trek, and it's a day trip from Cusco. It's a day trip, you know. So again, guys, there isn't, if you're like, whoa, these sound crazy, just don't forget you can take your time and you can also do some other hikes around that area. All right, Nat, here is probably one of my favorite questions of this section. Would you rather cage dive with sharks in Australia or swim with wild dolphins in New Zealand?
Dolphins, duh. For
Yeah,
me, it's not even a comparison.
yeah,
I don't care where I am. Honestly, I just want to swim with dolphins. It doesn't matter if I am in Florida, off the coast of Tampa, or in the beautiful country of New Zealand. Obviously, I would love to go to New Zealand or Australia, but I have no desire at all to cage dive with sharks. Now, granted, would that be one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life? Yeah. But
probably.
between the two choices, dolphins, no question.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Gosh, well, there's a couple factors, but really, like, again, with the irrational fears, I am terrified of sharks. And I know that there are like so few shark attacks, and especially you're going to be in a cage. But like, I'm just not one of those people. I've never been one of those people. I'm not a marine biologist. Now, the swimming with dolphins, like Natalie said, dolphins are so cute and so fun. But like New Zealand, also, come on. And again, I'm more of a New Zealand person than Australia because my husband and his whole family are from New Zealand. I've been there. As soon as we came back, I wanted to go back and like see everything. So, yeah, I would have to go back to New Zealand. And just so you guys have a little more information about sharks, because I know there's those people that are like, sharks are the sweetest, cutest animals on the planet. And then there's the people that are like, sharks, jaws. I'd never even be in a cage with them. Shark attacks on cage divers are extremely rare. And when they do happen, they are usually non fatal and often due to either baiting or chum too close to the cage or like improper cage construction or diver behavior. So, again, follow the rules. And unusual shark behavior, again, is also if they're, again, high aggression, disorientation. Those are when those accidents happen. I mean, just to scare you guys a little more so that you also share my irrational fear again with sharks and cages. In 2016, in Guadalupe Island, Mexico, a great white shark accidentally entered a cage with a diver inside. The diver escaped unharmed through the bottom of the cage, but the shark thrashed violently before escaping. So here's this crazy shark like thrashing and freaking out in your cage, and the guy like pushed himself through the bottom. I've seen the video of that and it is terrifying because the guides, those poor guides, they're like, where is he? Like, where did he go? And then he like, after the shark like swims, like jumps out of the top of the cage and swims away, the guy like quickly like pops up. I mean, that guy was so calm, but it was, I mean, amazing. And then in 2005, South Africa, a great white breached a cage and got partially stuck due to bait placement. So again, a lot of these are due to bait placement. So again, make sure you have good guides that know where to put the bait. And then no serious injuries were reported though. Both of these people lived. And then occasional cage damage in several incidents. Again, Guadalupe, South Africa, sharks have bitten or rammed cages, usually resulting in minor equipment damage, but no injuries to the people. So, again, guys, this really is Sophia's irrational fear. I feel like I would be the 1% or the 0.00001% of people that this happens to. So, yeah, you just can't go wrong with swimming with dolphins in New Zealand. It's safe and it's just dolphins protect you from sharks because they swim in packs.
Mhm. Love that. Okay, so the next question, question number 5. Would you rather zip line through a jungle or hot air balloon over Cappadocia?
Ooh. Honestly, I have ziplined in Mexico and it rocked. And I also rode a pretty cool hot air balloon in Arizona. So I've done both of these like activities. But I think if I would have to pick one, Cappadocia's definitely on the bucket list. But I think I would go ziplining again through any sort of jungle because it didn't say a specific thing. But yeah, the hot air balloon, I think ziplining gives me more of a rush.
That's cool. I like that. I would also say zip line. I I think a hot air balloon would be amazing. And as you said, like a it's not a rush experience. And I I just want the rush. Like
Yeah,
a zip line, the funny thing is like here we are talking about bungee jumping and cord snapping and like a zip line could also you could also fall, to the floor of a jungle and be at the mercy of all the different jungle creatures, like that could be a scary thing too, but I don't know, somehow a zip line doesn't feel as unsafe to me
it
or
doesn't.
or as like I don't know, just the thought of I'm not like I will go cliff jumping, but like I'm not a person that's just like, oh, I'm gonna jump over like a zip line. You're locked in, you're in a little thing and you're going down, and but it's still got that thrill aspect to it.
Yes, unless you're like an idiot. And because honestly, this was one of the bungee jumping stories that I did not include when I was looking all this up. Um, he- this girl, she ran and jumped off because she thought the guide was telling her to go ahead and jump, but they didn't hook her into the bungee yet. Yeah, and apparently she died of a heart attack before she even like hit the ground, the ocean or the river or whatever she was jumping into. Yeah, so you could do something stupid like that ziplining, but other than that, they have you hooked in so well. They do this all day long, and like I love just like even like hanging upside down, and the ropes are so like secure, that, and again, some people have do not like bungee jumping because they've had or not bungee jumping, sorry. Some people do not like ziplining because they've had a bad experience with it, as in like I only got to go on like one line. It wasn't even that cool. but I went to this like park in Escaret, Mexico, and I went from like you had to basically climb up an obstacle course and get on a zip line. Then you climbed up another obstacle course and went on like so you were like zip line to zip line to zip line, and so it took like an hour to 2 hours, and it was so much fun, and I loved like the whole like park part of it. So yeah, if you go to a good place that really knows how to do the zip lining and make it fun, it is so much fun. Now, for those of you who are really interested in Cappadocia and love hot air balloons, I've heard they're fairly safe. But for tourist areas like Goerme, Ushar, and Urgup, again, look these up, all butchered. We'll put them in the blog. They're well developed and have a strong tourist presence. So hot air balloon rides there are really, really popular. They're tightly regulated. They have great safety inspections. Just make sure you go with a licensed company. That's easy. And then again, solo travel in these places is common, including a lot of solo traveling women. But it's still smart to follow guided safety practices, watch your belongings because there are thieves, stay in well lit areas at night, etc. And just things to keep in mind in that area of Cappadocia, the rural terrain, some hikers or some hikes or valleys can be remote. So just go with a buddy or let someone know what your plans are. Weather can be icy and the summers can be hot. So it varies a lot. Plan for the season. And then what is really popular and dangerous here is scams. So, like in most touristy spots, there can be overpriced taxis or overly eager sellers. So just have a little awareness. Say no, but say no to people nicely. And just keep walking and don't make a lot of eye contact. And then bonus tips for this would be try to book tours, especially balloon ride tours in advance because they fill up so quickly. This is like one of the most popular places for hot air balloon rides. Don't drink the tap water. Okay. It's like Mexico. It's like the islands. Don't drink the tap water. Local hospitality is warm. Turkish people are often super willing to help travelers and give advice and tell you where things are, etc. So those are all really cool aspects of Cappadocia. I will say the hot air balloon ride itself. You just have to keep in mind that even though it's highly regulated, the way hot air balloons work is you go with the wind, so they don't necessarily know where you're going to land. And I think a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't think about that when my mom and I did this in Arizona. We landed in some random empty lot of a neighborhood, and like we were going right over the tops of houses. I thought we were going to like fall on the top of a roof of a house, like hit the top, and then basket was going to fall over. Like that's how close we were to the tops of people's roofs. And we land on this empty lot, right? And then the funniest thing was all these kids come and are jumping on the air balloon as it's deflating. And it was so funny. But anyway, yes, that scared my mom and I were like, where are we gonna land in this neighborhood? So anyway, it was kind of crazy. But I was like, okay, we made it. But I don't know if I do that again. But yeah. So just so you guys know, if he's like, well, we gotta look for a place to land, and you're like, look for a place to land. That's the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about adrenaline and heights, not quite as much as ziplining, but maybe more in a different way. So yeah, so guys, thank you so much for joining us. I think we had a lot of fun on our would you rathers on just adrenaline, really cool, exciting places to hike, whitewater raft, hot air balloon ride, and we look forward to you guys kind of telling us what you'd rather do.
Yeah.
Catch you next time.